What's going on, K-2? So today I'm going to present to you guys the 5 stages of financial mentality. Stay with me after the introduction.
Tonight making his Showtime debut and his 18th consecutive world title appearance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBO lightweight world champion, the undisputed lightweight world champion, and the current undefeated WBO welterweight champion of the world, introducing Terrence.
Okay, K-2. So before I get to my 5 levels of financial mentality, I'm going to throw at you guys some disclaimers, right? I got 4 disclaimers I want to throw at you. And I want to let you know, number 1 is going to be all these financial mentality mindsets may not apply to you personally and may not apply to you at all, right? This is a general outline from my perspective what the 5 financial mindsets are. Number 2, these state of mindsets don't necessarily follow where you are monetarily. What that means is that, let's say, for example, you win the lottery and you become rich during the lottery, right? But within a year, you're broke because you got a poor mindset. Number 3, your mindset have reached at a certain level of consciousness that match your particular level of financial success. And what that means is that your mindset have taken you to action steps, and now you're on that certain level. Your behaviors that you're following are consistent to stay on that level, right? Number 4, this is my personal opinion through my experience being poor. I have a poor background, being in welfare, and later on in my life becoming debt free, and now in my stage where I'm building wealth, right? So this is just my personal opinion, guys, my perspective, my experiences. If you got some differences you think you can add to it, don't be shy, add it to the comment section. Let's talk about it. Maybe another video we can talk about it and go from there. We can have another discussion, right? So there you go, guys. That's my disclaimer. Now let's break into the 5 levels of financial mentality from K-2. Okay, guys, so the first stage of financially mental mindset is the poor stage, right? Generally on this stage, guys, you lack the resources, the money to live at a comfortable environment. That's what makes you poor. You're in terms of the federal poverty line, you're either at or below that line, right? So living substandardly, that's what makes you in a poor environment, right? The consequences of being poor are not having access to health care, neighborhoods, good schools, don't have access to good diets and that kind of thing, right? You're susceptible to being in a food desert. Like when I was younger, I grew up in a single parent family. It was me, my sister, my 2 brothers. We grew up in an environment where a neighborhood where there were food deserts, where there wasn't great access to fruits and vegetables, that kind of thing, right? I'm gonna date myself a little bit, guys. I'm gonna go back to the 80s, okay? I grew up in the 80s. Let me just tell you guys something. In 1980, the federal poverty line was, for a family of 4, for example, was $8,414. Now, fast forward to 2023, the federal poverty line is, for a family of 4, is $30,000, okay? That just tells you how things have changed, right? So that's what being in the poor stage is all about. Where it's at is that sometimes going through this process to get adequate health care, you would have to have reliance on government assistance, right? I went through this, guys. I went through welfare, food stamps. I went through all that with my mom. I know what it's like to stand in line for, government cheese. I'm going to date myself again. Back in the day, guys, we stood in line for stuff like that. Government cheese, me and my brother, right? So there is some lingering shame in that whole process, guilt, you know what I mean? That you can provide for yourself, someone else providing for you. In our case, the government, we had government assistance. So that kind of thing, right? So I remember my mother couldn't afford, we were going to church that one day, back in the day, and she couldn't afford clothes for us, right? We had to have Salvation Army hand-me-downs, given to us. Me and my brother were going to church. My grandfather used to take us to church. And these so-called, quote-unquote, good church people were making fun of us, right? Because of our Salvation Army hand-me-downs, right? I guess we didn't look the part. That experience took me away from the church, took me away from all that religious crap, right? Took me away from all that circle, right? And I'm okay with that. Never went back because of that particular situation. So even talking about this, guys, it brings me back to those poor days I had. No access to language, which keeps the poor, right? No access to empowering language. No access to the language how to keep and grow money, right? Which that's the backbone of the poor environment, right, guys? If you're like me, you're my age, you know what I'm talking about, right? We didn't have access to none of that kind of language, right? Think about it, right? If you're 45, 50, 55, like I am, think about it. You got to understand what I'm talking about, right? No access to basic money consciousness makes the poor unequipped to even get to the broke stage, which is the next stage, because of lack of language, right? Introduced to us either through our family that didn't know any better, or the culture, right? Schools. We didn't have access to anything like that. Stuff like balancing a checkbook, right? Now, this checkbook balancing days, guys, were kind of before your time, young fella, right? Way back in the day. But think about it, right? We didn't have access to what a budget was. What is a budget? Emergency fund. Guys, if someone came to me when I was younger and said, hey, K-2, do you know what stocks and bonds are? I would have said, no, hell no. What, are they a musical group or something? Are they a band? We have no access to none of that stuff, right? Stocks and bonds, what? So think about it, guys. Basically, it's like this. If you don't ever have any access to anything, how can you reach out for something if you don't know what existed, right? How can you reach for something if you don't have no knowledge that it exists, right? I'm gonna give you guys an example. Now stay with me here. Now you guys don't know this, but K-2 is an amateur astronomer. Yes, I'm an amateur astronomer. Let me give you a little background. You guys know about the solar system? Okay, give me a quick little rundown of the solar system, right? There's the sun. The inner planets are Mercury in order. Mercury, Venus, Earth. The inner planets, smaller rocky planets. The bigger planets, way out in the far distance in the solar system, are cooler, right? Jupiter, they're bigger. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. All big planets, but way out there, they're cold, right? Now, throughout the years, the last 20, 25 years, NASA, our space agency guys, have sent out probes out there to investigate, right? We've come across something very interesting out there. A moon, a small little moon of Saturn, called Enceladus. The probes have went by this moon and found something very interesting. This moon is shooting out geysers of water, right? One of the probes of NASA have sniffed this water of this moon and found something very interesting. Phosphorus, among other ingredients of what we call life ingredients. Scientists have called life ingredients, right? So we suspect that something's going on this particular moon, guys. Now, it's cold out there. If you rub your hands together, guys, what do you get? Warmth, right? Saturn is so huge, it's creating a lot of gravitational effect on this particular moon, causing friction, which heats up the moon, which has melted the moon, which causes the moon to have a whole lot of water on it, like an ocean of water. But there's a lot of ice still on the top of the moon, so you can't see it unless you penetrate it, right? So there's miles and miles of ice on this moon, but beneath the ice, we suspect there's an ocean of water. In this ocean of water, the possibilities looking pretty good that it's something underneath this water, and the scientists suspect it. Don't take my word for it, guys. Look it up. Look up Enceladus, Saturn's moon Enceladus, that we suspect maybe forms of life underneath there. Maybe bacteria, that's still forms of life, right? So let's just use our imagination and suspect, guys, that let's just think that it was just, let's just say this life underneath that all that ice on Enceladus, right? Think about it. If that's all you know, you're living in all that ocean, and there's miles and miles of ice on top of that, you will never know of anything out there, right? You'll never know there's a universe, there's stars and planets, because all you know is the ocean you live under, right? Under all that ice, right? It's the same thing when it comes to being poor. You have no knowledge of the next level. You have no knowledge. All you know is what your situation is right now, right? You have no language that's going to propel you to the next level. You have no empowering language that you're a part of, right? And that's a part of being poor. Especially in my situation, that's my situation, guys. When I was young, I didn't have access to this language. I didn't have access to how to keep and grow money. Are you kidding me? I didn't have no access to stocks and bonds. So that just gives you guys an example. So the poor, and I know in my situation, I can identify with this. We were basically just busy staying alive, right? Busy paying collection bills and trying to avoid debt, right? Not picking up the phone when debt, collectors would call, right? So that kind of thing. Some people, guys, are okay staying here at this stage. And hey, I'm not going to throw down any type of guilt or shame. Some people are okay with staying at this level, right? The next level is what I call the woke stage, the broke stage, right? And yes, guys, there's a difference between being poor and broke. The broke stage, somewhere along the line, you got access to information. You got access to who you ran across, either experience, a person, something brought you out of that level where you're going to strive to something different. You're awoke, right? The ice shield of Enceladus has been lifted, guys, and now you see all the stars and the darkness of space, right? That just gives you an example, right? Now it's totally open for you. Now you know something else exists. You're going to strive for it. You're going to strive for a better way, a better comfort level in your life, right? For us, we in the hood, man, back where I grew up, I played football. A lot of friends of mine, we all had aspirations to go to the league, go to the NFL. Some of my friends played basketball. Some of them did go to the National Basketball Association. Some of my friends did get to the NFL. I didn't get there. But what it did was it gave me that inspiration to strive to get there, right? Which took me to another level, right? But at this stage, it takes a level of work and diligence and money to get to that level, which in my situation, it put me in debt going through school, going through my young adulthood. Okay, to get to a certain level, it may put you in debt, and that's where a lot of folks in the broke stage are. They know where they want to go, they're just broke, right? It's different from being poor. So you're trying to get to the next level. You're aware that possibilities exist for a better environment, right? Now, guys, let me tell you, some people make a decision to stay at this level, which is okay. Again, I'm not casting down any kind of guilt or shame. If you feel you're broke, but you got a job, you got some aspirations, you're okay with staying at this level, you think that's comfortable for you, great, all right? Some people want something different. Now, the next stage is the financially stable stage. And at this stage, you decide to take advantage of what life and experiences have thrown you, right? You decided to work, either through scholarship or through schooling or in your environment, your friendship environment have changed, where you've gotten some new information, you got some new hope, new belief system, where your belief system is stronger now. You're striving, you got some swag going on in your financial journey, right? You're out of debt, you got to find an emergency fund in place of 6 to 9 months. You began to build wealth. You feel good about that because you know what stocks and bonds are now. You've done your research on investing. So you got some wealth building going on right now. You got wills in place, estate plans. You got all that in place, insurances, life insurance for you to protect you if you get in trouble with your job or something happens to you, for your kids. You got life insurance that's going to cover them. All these kind of things, right? Your kids are going to school debt-free. You got a mindset shift where you're noticing a change within yourself, right? Guys, the stage between the broke stage and the financially stable stage is the greatest between these two stages, because you noticed a time freedom. You know it's the possibilities. You know the peace of mind that you have. If you stay with this, tranquility's coming, right? Now you may have property paid off on this stage. You may be in the process of buying a house or a combination, right? But you're feeling good about where you are because you have financial stability. You don't owe nobody nothing. And you have an emergency fund in the bank. You have possibilities, and this is a great stage for you. Now, guys, some people on this stage with a good job and maybe a side gig, emergency funds in place, you don't owe nobody anything, you're free of mind, you feel more peace. Some people decide that it's okay to stay at this stage without. If you're a young fella, you 30, 35, and you're at this stage right now, man, you feeling good right now, aren't you? Because you got, what, 20, 25 years to build wealth. You're at this stage, you're on cruise control. Let it go, right? Now, with me, being a 55-year-old fella at this stage, I want to push it a little further, don't I? Right? I may have started my journey a little later than you, and I want to achieve the next level, right? Which is okay too. The next level is financially secure. So clearly on the financially secure stage, guys, you're clearly in the wealth building stage. Your mind is more at peace. You have clear mind, clear thought. You're debt free, no obligations. Your emergency fund is a year or more worth. Your portfolio is in great standing because at this point, you have spent time on this stage for 10 to 15 years and your portfolio is rocking, right? It's gained the most in the last 15 years. The only thing you pay for is your living expenses at this point. You may have a paid off house, paid off property. You may be buying more property, right? So that's the stage you're at right now, right? The life events have put you in a situation where you are free of mind, you have peace, you have a lot of tranquility in your life right now from where you're at. You got your emergency fund in place, a year or more. You got wills in place, you got estate plans in place, right? You got all your insurances in place. Your kids are going to school. They may be out of school at this point, or they're going to school debt free. So you're in a good situation. Think about this situation, guys, what I just described to you, right? Few of us are on this stage, but the people who are feeling damn good right now, aren't they? Because they don't have any obligations. They are living well. They may have a job, may have a long-term job that's taking care of them. They may have they may not be working at all, depending on their situation, right? The next stage is the last stage on my financial mental mindset stages, and that's financially free. At this stage, guys, you're living as close to abundance as possible, right? If not, your mind is free of consequences. The only thing you worry about on this stage is your health, right? Pretty much, that's the only thing you worry about. Everything else is taken care of. Your passive income covers all your living expenses and all your needs. And then on top of that, you have extra to reinvest again. See, guys, the compound interest works like that, where you've compounded your interest so much, your interest is built upon interest so much, you're using that money generated to reinvest again. You may be at a point where you're investing 20% of that money on more investments to make you more compound interest, which is growing your money on top of it. You see how it works? Building upon, building upon, building upon, right? You're debt free, your emergency funds in place, you have well over maybe a year or more in emergency funds in place, you're contributing that interest money on top of another interest money, you have your wills and estate plans in place, you have your life insurance. At this point, you have to make a decision. You might not even need life insurance. So you've moved on to the point where you're financially free, and like I said, the only thing you worry about is your health. As a matter of fact, your interest is generating enough money, right, that you're beating inflation. If inflation is 3%, 4%, your investments are generating, guys, 7, 8, 9, 10%, which is covering even on inflation. So you're well taken care of on that aspect of it. Now think about this, guys. Just how there are consequences at the poor stage, believe this, there are consequences at the financial free stage as well. If you're complacent, right? You haven't ventured out to do anything else, volunteer work, you don't no hobbies, you don't want to do anything else other than just being financially free, you can get complacent, right? And you can get out of touch with reality, right? There's very few people, guys, at this stage, right? So if you're not shooting for anything at this stage, you can't become complacent or out of touch with reality, and you can be bored, right? Let's face it, you can be bored. There's nothing else for you to shoot for, right? All right, guys. So those are the 5 financially mental mindset stages for you guys from K-2. If you have anything that you want to add, or you disagree, or you want to add to it, don't be shy. Add it to the comment section. Let's talk about it. It may be possible I can do another video on this particular subject, right? There you go, guys. Take care of yourselves. K-2 signing out. We have come too far to forget who we are. Take it to another level. Raise the bar. Only then can we toast to ancestor stars. Take care of yourselves.